I love this business so much. The market is always changing. There's always challenges. It's always a new problem to solve. And it's just so fun. So we got to be on top of it though, because everyone needs to make the strongest offer possible. So the market is changing right now. It's always changing, right? The whole world is changing. But what we've been seeing, it's been a crazy seller's market. I mean, you've heard stories, right? People are offering $50,000 over asking price, $100,000. There's people camping to get in an open house. They're lining up outside of builders. You can make any offer you want to. Like, it's just been absolutely insane. So it's always been strategizing of like, how can I make the strongest offer? How can I put myself in the position to make the strongest offer? I mean, at Guild, we've come out with programs to help clients so they don't have to do contingencies, how they can be a cash buyer, all that stuff. And now it changes again. So things are slowing down a little bit. Who knows if it's gonna last for a day, a year, a month, a second, whatever. It's gonna change and then we'll adapt to that. But here's what's going on right now. I'm talking to agents all the time, to real estate agents who have houses listed, and their clients are getting a little bit nervous. Sometimes it's taking more than like 30 seconds or a day to get a house sold. I have a client right now and their house has been on for 21 days and they're freaking out, which is not something to freak out over. That's more normal. But that's what we're seeing. There's more inventory, which is awesome because that means more houses to look at. I did an analogy the other day with this one agent, and we're like, think about the market before. It's like you go to the pond and you're feeding some ducks, and you have one piece of bread and there's a lot of ducks. They're all fighting over that piece of bread. That's the house. Well, now we have a lot of pieces of bread and each duck gets their own piece. So there's houses for these buyers to look at. So here's some things that we've been seeing. Well, one, first of all, there's more inventory. You have more houses to look at. It's also less competitive when there's more inventory. It also means that sellers, it's taking them a little bit longer to sell their house and they're not getting as many offers. What that could mean for a buyer is that maybe before, where you wouldn't even consider making a contingent offer, maybe you can make a contingent offer, right? If that seller doesn't just have a crazy influx of offers coming in and your offer comes in, it's a good offer, a strong offer, but you need a contingency, they might consider it. One other thing that we're starting to hear about, which we haven't seen in a few years, is seller concessions. So a seller is allowed to pay a buyer's closing costs. They can pay 100% of the buyer's closing costs, but it just hasn't really been common practice, which makes sense, right? You're a seller, you get 10 offers, every offer is better than the last, nobody's asking you to pay closing costs, you don't have to. But now you're the seller, your house has been on the market for 21 days, you don't have an offer, and a buyer comes to you with a really good offer. You know, they're not asking you to come down a crazy amount on the price of the house, they're doing a good offer, but they're asking you to pay some of their closing costs. That could be something that a seller would consider that they haven't in the past. So it's getting easier for buyers, which I love. It's not a bad thing for sellers either though, because a lot of times when you're selling a house, you have another one that you have to buy. You know, so it's always been, it's gonna be really easy to sell my house, but it's gonna be impossible for me to find a new one, so why even try? Well, now it's like maybe I have to put a little bit of effort into selling my house, but once I do, there's gonna be a lot of options for me to be able to buy a new house. So maybe contingencies weren't a thing, they could be coming back. Seller concessions, one really cool thing that we're seeing right now is that say a buyer doesn't need the seller to pay their closing costs, maybe they have plenty of money. You can use a seller concession to buy a lower interest rate. You can use the seller's money to buy down your interest rate for the life of the loan. I ran an example for a client the other day. He was thinking about buying an investment property. If the seller gave him a 2% credit, he didn't need it for his closing costs, but he could use that 2% to buy down his interest rate, and it was actually gonna save him $184 a month by using that seller's money to buy down his rate. So a lot of exciting stuff is happening. We gotta keep up with it. Maybe by the time this video comes out, the market's already changed again, but yeah, when the market shifts and there's more inventory, there's a lot of opportunity for buyers.